a whole bunch of people coming in all of a sudden. I will get to the questions in a second. Cool. A whole bunch more stuff up there. Okay, yeah. So on Khan Academy, there's technically only one section that we're really not going to do, and that's the horizontal tangent lines on implicit functions. And honestly, you probably could do it, anyway, because the horizontal tangent line just means the slope is 0. There is another section that I didn't directly cover, which was calculator active questions, which just means that you're allowed to use the calculator during the problem. So what I'll do is, you don't have to do the horizontal tangent line one at all. You guys are welcome to do it if you want. I'm going to add 10% to your Khan Academy score at the end of the unit. So then that 10% will easily make up for the section that we're not really covering, and the corresponding question in the unit test, which would bring down your score a little bit too. And then Khan Academy, what I will do is I will put your scores in from Khan Academy Monday morning. Let's see, what else was asked? Correct. Yeah. Do we need to know any more of the topics of Khan? I think I answered that. Okay. Okay, so today I'm going to kind of go over the test outline with you guys. I'll just kind of give you the layout here. I'll go over the test outline with you guys today. And if you guys saw, what I did was I made an organizer for Unit 6 last hex semester. And a lot of the students said they liked using that to be able to write things down in each square for each question. So it was kind of more like targeted review, I guess. So I made an organizer for this unit. You're welcome to use it. You definitely don't have to. All I did was I broke it up into, I don't think it's 13 boxes. I think like the critical numbers one, since there's 2 questions on critical numbers, I just made that one box, because then you could write notes to yourself about how to find critical numbers. Because that's a good way to learn to take notes, is just basically write things to yourself on what would have to be done to find that answer. Tomorrow, what I'll do is during the class hour, I'll leave it open for just questions. So if anybody wants to come and ask questions, they certainly can. You don't have to. So what I will have to do though is I'm going to have you guys come at the beginning of the class regardless, so that I can take attendance. And then if you don't have any questions, you're welcome to just leave at that point. And then I'd like you guys to take the test by midnight on Sunday night. More stuff. Yeah, 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, not Friday. I mean, you could take it Friday. Oh boy. Let's see, what else? During the test, because the more I thought about it, and I realized Monday afternoon wouldn't actually work very good for us. So just because of the way the days lined up this hex semester, if I gave the test Monday afternoon, you'd actually be learning a different, like I'd be teaching you a lesson Monday during class, and then Monday afternoon would be your test from kind of before. And I didn't really like the sound of that. I don't think it would have been a huge deal, but so no, Kelly, I'm not going to give a lesson tomorrow. I'm just going to leave tomorrow be like kind of a placeholder for the test. So if somebody wants to take the test during class tomorrow, they can. I'm going to open up the test Friday at 12:10. So I'll open up the test at Friday at 12:10. So those people who are asking to take the test Friday can just take it right away. But the big deal for this is I need you guys to have work written down for every question. So the first 12 questions are going to be in Schoology. And, I've got it written down up here that we'll go through. Some of the questions you just put a number answer, some you write a short answer, etc. But all of the work should be written on paper. And then when you get to question 13, which is an FRQ question, which is an FRQ. When you get to question 13, you're going to submit your work for 1 through 12 on one document, and then submit your work for question 13, which is the actual answer for 13, in a separate document. There is only one more unit left for this try. Unit 6 goes slow. Yes, Jackson. So I need you guys to come at the beginning of the class on Friday for attendance, no matter what. And then once I get you down for attendance, you're welcome to stay and ask questions, or you're welcome to leave. And then I'm basically going to count that hour as the time, the 75 minutes as the time you take the test. How much time do you have once you start the test? I think it's 100 minutes, which should be more than enough time. I basically wanted to give a little bit extra time because I know some people have trouble doing the uploading part. Is this test essentially our last summative for the HEX? No, Unit 6 is. Unit 6 will be our last unit for the HEX semester. So we're going to start Unit 6 Monday, and then it will end the last day of the HEX semester. This test is... It looks like there's 21 points on the test. I think in the grade book, I'll go check. I think Mrs. Strofer and I made it 35 points. So we scaled it to that by your percentage. I'll go double check, but I'm pretty sure it's 35 points because then that way all of our units are somewhat equally weighted. So no matter how many points are on the actual each question, the points in the grade book will be similar between the units. I want to say it's 35. Is this... I don't know. You guys had lots of questions. I like it. Today you're actually asking stuff. I don't know. Anything else that, off the top of your head? Okay. So then maybe what we'll do now is we'll kind of go through each question and then talk about what would need to be done to find that answer. Because I'm a big proponent of you knowing what needs to be done to find an answer rather than just showing you an example, because your test question could be very different. Okay, so if you want to take a screenshot, up on the screen, those are the 13 questions and what's going to go corresponding with it. So like question number 1, find the C value that satisfies the mean value theorem. That's going to be a fill-in-the-blank answer. So your C value should be a number. That number is what you would type in. But the work for the whole mean value theorem and the corresponding answer that goes with it should all be written down on paper and uploaded at the end. So I just want to make sure you guys definitely understand that part. Like, I really don't like giving the test on the weekend again. And because of that, I really need to make sure that you guys are showing your work. Because if I can't see your work for a problem, I'm going under the assumption that you didn't do it on your own. Okay. Maybe we should just... Where's my pen? So if you have an organizer handy, like if you printed one out, absolutely you can use that. Otherwise, on paper, I would just write down some things next to question number 1. Let's just start calling on people. Connor, the mean value theorem. I'll write the formula down. We'll start with that. I don't expect you to use them, but you can. Yes. Yeah. It would be silly of me to expect you to have rigid rules and then not be able to enforce them for everybody. So f prime of c equals f of b minus f of a. Okay, so Connor, this is the formula for the mean value theorem. I'm not sure what would work best to ask as a question. How about in your own words, what are we doing here? What is the mean value theorem again? Yep, very good. Very good. That honestly, that's most of the explanation. Do you remember what the right-hand side stands for? It's the average slope between the endpoints that you're given. Do you remember what f prime of c stands for? Okay. How about just the prime? That little apostrophe. Okay, good. So the derivative is going to be the instantaneous slope. That's the average slope. So that would be the instant slope at x equals c. So let's, I suppose, Connor, do you want to choose the next person? You did very good. Scroll down. Out of all 40 people, yes, Vincent is here, and he can type in the chat. That works. Okay, so you would be given some sort of a function. Let's just go with something straightforward, like f of x is x squared from 0 to 4. Okay, Vincent, I'm not sure how great this will work over chat, but if I was given this and I was asked to find the c value that satisfies the mean value theorem, and you'd be given that formula, but if not, write it down next to question 1 in your notes. How would I go about doing this? That's why I said I'm not sure how well this would work chatting or typing. Or I could call somebody who could speak. And then we could come back to Vincent maybe for an easier one to type out. Let's see. Dane, you're next on the list. Oh, why don't you just plug in the 0? Okay, good. Vincent has a good start. Yes. So you're going to plug the 0 and the 4 in place of a and b into f of x. So it's basically finding the endpoints. Dane can help us talk about how to do the other half of the equation. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 0 and 4, which is a and b. So f of 4 would be 16. F of 0 would be 0, or 4 minus 0. Dane, how do I how do I figure out f prime of c? Excellent job. Derivative of what? But yes. Yep. So f prime of x is 2x. So what should I write over here in red? What do I write for f prime of c? Nice. Good. Good memory. Good memory. Yes, the c ends up being pretty important on the AP test. They're very particular about you writing a c instead of an x. Good memory. That's a super easy thing to forget. So 2c equals 16 divided by 4, and then c is 2. And that would be the c value that satisfies the mean value theorem on f of x equals x squared from 0 to 4. If you guys wanted me to sketch this quick, we took 0 and 4. The average slope between them was 4. And then at x equals 2, it has a slope of 4 as well, which I know my drawing is not to scale. Okay, so that's mean value theorem. That's question 1. This was such a long time ago that I figured you guys needed me to talk about it more thoroughly than probably some recent topics. Let's go to question 2. Critical numbers. Well, it is obvious who I have to call on for this one. And so Ari already knows. Perfect. Okay, nice job. So question 2 and 3, because they are both finding critical numbers. Obviously, what could be very different is the equation you have for the derivative. I mean, you could have a polynomial, you could have a fraction, you could have a trig function. The derivative itself could be all over the place. But no matter what the derivative looks like, you want to make the derivative equal to 0 or the derivative undefined. Okay, do we need to talk about what derivative being undefined means? Is everybody okay with remembering that? Okay, I'll leave that be. And FYI, Ari, so you're basically done with this expert business at the end of this unit, and I feel it is totally fair that I'll let you pick an expert for the next unit. You did very good job. You were very understanding on being called on a lot. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, and then these two are both short answer questions. So partially because it's really hard to make them fill in the blank. So the math short answer just means that you're allowed to use the math keyboards, you know. So then that way, if it's a trig answer, it's easy to put pies, it's, you know, whatever it is. But for 2 and 3, make sure you show your work for everything. I 100% do not want to get a test and see the work submitted that is just somebody writing down answers on a piece of paper, because then we would have issues. Relative. Correct. Yep. Question 13 on the test has a spot to upload files. Do we have to write out the steps in the test or just on the paper? The steps would be on the paper. Yep. Yeah, there really isn't going to be much of a spot. If you write it on the test, that's fine too, Julia. So like on those math short answer ones, if you guys write the work in the math short answer spot, that's fine too. I just didn't want to require that because some people are really slow at typing that stuff out. Kind of. It says math short answer, but that basically just means you're writing an answer. The work should be on paper. Yeah. I'm using the math short answer keyboard because a lot of calc answers aren't just like a number like 3, you know. So yeah, I put the free response question as part of it. Just because it's just a little bit more secure. That's all. I mean, it's not a big difference. How should we show work when determining which graphs? That's a good question, Finley. You really can't show much work for that one. I mean, like if you're writing little scratch work with showing slopes of 0, something like that. Yeah, I do totally understand that some questions work isn't really not much. I'll be able to tell when you submit your work, you know, like which questions you've done. We should probably talk about relative extrema. So that was 4 and 5? 4 and 5. Is it an E or an A? I think it's an E. A, no, A. I wrote an A the whole time. Let's see. Okay, relative extrema. If I remember correctly on the test, I have this question written 2 different ways. I mean, there's 2 questions, obviously. One of the questions, I believe, I have already written out the table of the first derivative test. Because this is kind of intended to be a short question, because if you guys notice, 4 and 5 each are just 1 point. So they're not intended to be a bigger question with work. You know, the 2-point questions where there's work involved, then it's easier for me to give partial credit. So like on this one, what I did was I'll just make one up here. Let's say you had a function that had critical numbers at 3 and 5. This would be similar to what the table would look like. So either or. But when I wrote the question, Schoology doesn't allow you to make a number line, but Schoology does allow you to make tables. And so in the problem, I wrote a table for you. And it looks something like this. Let's make that a minus. Okay, so let's say you were given this first derivative table, because this is something similar to what it'll look like in the problem. So instead of having a number line, this is how it's presented to you. Jack McManus, if I gave you this table, do you think you could tell me if this function had any relative extrema? So that's exactly what you're supposed to do, correct. So does this one have one? What would be in between negative infinity and 3 to 5? 3. I mean, what you're saying is correct. So it won't say 3 anywhere specifically, but the number 3 is directly between those parentheses. So x equals 3, and you're correct that we can't find the point. So on this particular problem, we're not given a function, we're just given a table. So we know that x equals 3 would be a relative max. And that's only because we can only answer what we're shown. And you'd be told that this is a continuous function. Like it would say f of x is continuous, something like this. And the reason it would say this is because then we would know that x equals 3 isn't a whole and it isn't a vertical asymptote. Okay? Jackson, how about at x equals 5? And maybe your mic doesn't work? How about Jessica? Jessica, what's happening at x equals 5? Yeah, that's all right, Jackson. That's perfect. Yeah, we don't know anything about it. We just know that it is not a relative max or min. Excellent. Because it goes decreasing, flattens, decreasing. Okay, good. Oh, this would have to be... Obviously, this information doesn't match up. I'm just totally making stuff up off the top of my head. So let's pretend this was the function that went with this table, even though it does not. Kayla, if this was the function that went with this table, instead of writing x equals 3 as a relative max, what could we write? Perfect. So, yeah, nice. If you knew the function, you could plug that into the equation to get a point instead. Now, on the test question, I do specifically say, like, what is the x value of the relative extrema? Or I'll say, what is the point of the relative extrema? Like, so it does say on the question what type of answer it should be. Anybody else have any other questions on relative extrema, on how to find them? Correct, Kelly. Yep. Okay. And if you guys think of a question along the way about a previous question, just ask. State intervals of increasing, decreasing. If I remember correctly, question 6 is similar to 4 and 5 in that I think I gave you a table. Wait. One of these questions I have you fill in the table. I bet you it's 4 or 5. I remember 4 or 5 I have you fill in the first derivative table. And so if you had to fill that in, you would just plug a test number into the first derivative. But obviously you'd have to know the first derivative to be able to do that. Okay, so 6 was state intervals of increasing, decreasing. Let's just use this same table. Let's use this same table as an example. Let's scroll down quick. Let's go with Mary. I'm glad you changed the name on there. Every time it pops up, I think it says Anne, if I remember right. So if I'm looking at this table, what would I say for the interval of increasing and decreasing? I'll separate them. Where is this function increasing? Okay, good. I'm glad I asked this question. So what you answered is what some people do on accident quite a bit, and it's good logic, but it's technically not decreasing at 5. So x equals 5 is either a slope of 0 or an undefined slope. So it's decreasing from 3 to 5 along with 5 to infinity. Yeah, I'm glad I picked this as an example. I kind of forget to put little things like that up sometimes. I don't know. These are probably pretty straightforward. I don't know what else I would need to talk about. Does anybody else think of a question they might want to ask on intervals of increasing, decreasing? Okay. 7, I think, is the same question from a graph. Intervals increasing, decreasing, and concavity. Okay, so question 7. You're going to be given a graph. Are we given a table for 6? I believe there's tables for 6. Because 6 is just a 1-point question again, I think. Yes. So 6 is intended to be a short question, so you will be given part of the information. If it was a 2-point question, then I would probably expect you to find everything. So on 7, you're going to be given a graph. Let's just go with that. Okay? And then there'll be directions with number 7. Says, where is f of x? Excuse me. Let's say less than 0, greater than 0. And this is a question that you're going to be able to draw directly on. So you're going to use your mouse to highlight and draw on the function where this is true. Let's see, Kevin, I think yours usually said your mic had an issue. I don't know if it works now. What does this mean? The first one. What does f prime of x less than 0 mean? And if your mic's not working, you should just type it in. Yeah, your mic's not working. So you could just type it in chat, and that's fine. What does f prime of x less than 0 mean? Oh, I definitely can't. It's not coming through. It's like a robot voice. Oh, that's really weird. It doesn't show anybody is talking, but I'm still getting voice. Yeah, no, your mic's not working. That's okay, Kevin. I'll just move. I'll go to somebody else because it's hard when things aren't working right. Michael, what does f prime of x less than 0 mean? You don't have to apologize, Kevin. Am I calling on people in the classroom again and it's just not working good? You gotta love the irony of that. Let's go with Ola. Ola, what does f prime of x less than 0 mean? there's a couple ways to say it. Negative slope, or it's decreasing. They mean the same thing. Absolutely. So I'll highlight those spots in red. So it is going downwards there and there. Okay, I'll go to a different color now. Okay, nice job, Ola. Tara, what does f double prime of x greater than 0 mean? Oh, hey, we're having tons of issues on Zoom lately. That's okay, Tara. I can see you're trying to answer it. It's just not working. How about Joe? What does f double prime of x greater than 0 mean? Good. Concave up. Or curving upwards, different ways. So concave up would be right here, and then right here. Those sections would be concave up. Okay, so then my final answer is to say where both of these are true. So then I know I'm showing this in multiple colors. I'm trying to think if in the question if I said what you should. I couldn't hear you, Tara. That's okay. I can't remember if I told you to color code things. So these two sections for this problem satisfy both of those conditions. And so this blue highlighter is what I would give as my final answer, because those two sections are where that's true. That's basically what question 7 is. And obviously I just made a random graph here. I think the one on the test is a more realistic graph. Uh, 8, find relative extrema using the second derivative. God, I hope that's not the one on the test. I'm just making this up, but I hope that's not the question on the test. Let's go with Lily. Lily, what was this 8? Lily, what would this tell us? If you saw this information, what does it tell you? Is my end coming through okay for everybody? Or is my internet getting glitchy? Oh, okay. Okay. I've just been having really bad luck on who I'm calling on then. All right. Let's see. Yuking. Yuking, if I wrote this down, what would this tell you? Or do you want me to go through it little by little? Okay. Okay, so that should tell us something. Slope is 0. Do you remember what happens when slope is 0? True. Do you remember what this is called? Yep, critical number, but yeah. Oh, I guess it is a point, but, or no, I didn't give you the point. So this is a critical number. What happens if your critical number has a negative concavity? I'll draw it. Critical number, curving downwards. Perfect. Perfect. I know that this would have a relative max at x equals 3 because those two situations are there. Now, I'm picking this problem kind of specifically because they choose one like this on the AP test every year. And so that's why I'm making sure to emphasize a strange problem like this. Now, they may also tell you that f of 3 equals 8, something like this. They might give you a third piece of information. If they do, then instead of me saying a relative max at x equals 3, I would say there's a relative max at 3, 8. Because I know the point rather than the x value. So depending on the information they give you, depends on how specific an answer you can give. Inflection points. Let's see, we are at 41 minutes, so we definitely have time. 9 and 10, inflection points. Natalie? Anything you can tell me about how to find an inflection point? Good. Pips, yeah. How could I forget to talk about pips? Or undefined. Perfect. So possible inflection points when the second derivative is equal to 0 or undefined. So you might have to find this on your own, or you might be given it. I think these were 1-point questions as well. They were 1-point questions as well. So chances are I'm going to give you guys the second derivative, or I'm going to give you like a table again. So I'm basically kind of give you information, but the purpose of the question is for you to be able to answer an inflection point. Okay, so Natalie gave us a good starting spot. But an inflection point also has one specific fact on it. Let's see, Melanie, you can type the answer in the chat if possible. Do you remember the one fact an inflection point has to have? So, like, these are possible inflection points, but there has to be one thing to make it an inflection point. Nice. So the concavity, second derivative, has to change before and after. If these two things happen, then that would be an inflection point. Now, you might have to only give the x value of an inflection point, or you might have to give an actual point. So it just kind of depends on what info you're given. If you're given a table, basically in the table, it has to go plus to minus or minus to plus. That's how it would show that it changes before and after. Okay, nice. 11. Well, 11 is just going to be very straightforward. I purposely picked a graph. Oh God, I don't know if I can draw something like this. This is really hard to draw off the top of my head. I purposely tried to pick a graph where the pictures were on top of each other so that it's easier to see, like, if the x values line up. Because in Khan Academy, when the pictures are separate, I find that to be much harder, much more difficult, because it's hard to tell if x values line up. But like if I have a picture like this, I can tell that the slope of 0 is here, and I can tell that the derivative crosses at the same spot. So if I had a picture like this, I know that this would be f, and this would be f prime, because of where it crosses. And obviously there's 3 graphs, because you're going to pick f, f prime, and f double prime, but my poor drawing skills are making that difficult. I guess I could try to draw one. I could just draw derivatives. Let me draw a cubic as well as I can. So if this is f, f prime, slope is 0 there, slope is 0 here. These are positive slopes, so it would be up above the axis and look something like that. And then if I had to draw the second derivative, I know it has a slope of 0 here. And I know it has negative slopes up until there, positive slopes after it, so it would be somewhat of a straight line like that. And so if I had all 3 on the same graph, this is kind of how I could go through and figure out f, f prime, and f double prime. On the test, oh, get out of there, little icon. Oh, what? There we go. On the test, they're not labeled. You're not going to put a label on there like this. On the test, they're labeled something like 1, 2, and 3. And this is a multiple choice question where you're going to have to pick the multiple choice where it'll be listed something like this. And so we would pick the one where f is 3, f prime is 2, and f double prime is 1. So this would be like a multiple choice answer. And obviously the graph is going to be more complicated than this one. I just basically drew the only one I could draw. And yeah, and somebody asked that one earlier, but that question, there really isn't any work to be shown unless you draw it on your own paper. 12, find absolute extrema on a closed interval. Johnny, do you remember how to find absolute extrema on a closed interval? There's kind of a couple steps to do that are the same every time. Sure. How do I find absolute extrema on a closed interval? Absolute extrema. Do you how about just extrema? Do you remember where extrema are at? Nice. They're at the critical numbers. Yep. So you're going to find critical numbers between how did I phrase that the other day in the notes? Critical numbers between the endpoints? I don't think I said endpoints. But you have to be given a closed interval means A to B. So you have to find critical numbers between A and B. And then basically second step is the only rest step. Do you remember how to find the actual answer? Gotcha. That's okay. That's okay. That's kind of why we are writing notes down like this. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to test A, B, and critical numbers in f of x. So test the endpoints and test the critical numbers. Biggest answer is max. Smallest answer is min. Those are basically the 3 steps for finding absolute extreme on a closed interval. Now, I hope you guys understand. I'm trying to take the time to go through and figure out what needs to be done for each question to find an answer. Because, and that's okay. Yeah, you did good, Johnny. Thank you. This is how you're going to need to study on your own. So about half of you guys, you'll be in college next year. And for the most part, professors generally will give you an outline, like I do, to tell you what's going to be on the test. Sometimes they don't. What you need to do to yourself is figure out if you know how to find that answer. A lot of you guys are very ingrained into looking at specific problems. And then you look at a problem and you're like, I know how to do that one, so I'm good. But then the question on the test is totally different. And then it feels like a different question. So I'm trying to get you guys to learn how to study topics rather than study problems. And you can do problems as examples, but that isn't the main idea. And I don't know if I need to do 13 because we just did that yesterday. But wait, where'd it go? Oh, there we go. So the optimization question. I'll just tell you, it's probably going to be easier than the questions you had in Khan Academy. Because the questions in Khan Academy, I don't remember if it's trig. I don't think it's trig. Honestly, this test probably has the least trig out of most of the units. I think there is trig on this test, but it probably has the least out of all the units. So the optimization question that I'm having you guys do is going to be similar level to what was in our textbook, which I know you didn't do those. And similar level to what would be on the AP test. The Khan Academy questions, a good portion of them are 2-step optimization questions, where I know one specifically that I remember was they had like a cylinder. I don't even know if I want to write this next to 13 because I don't want you guys writing this one down. I remember Khan Academy had a question about a cylinder. And then it gave you information about surface area. And then it asked you to find, maximize or minimize volume. So it was almost like a 2-part optimization question, which I'm not a fan of those because you're not going to have to do those. The optimization question you guys are going to get is going to be straightforward, similar to the ones we did in our notes. And when I say similar, I just mean setup, not picture, not equation, similar setup, where you're going to have a primary equation, which is what you're trying to max or min. And you're going to have a secondary equation, which should be straightforward. I know I got quite a few questions from people yesterday about Khan Academy optimization ones, which are not always straightforward. It's the best we can do given the situation. Yes, Natalie, you definitely, I would like you guys to label primary and secondary because that shows me you know it shows me you know how to set it up. So your secondary equation is going to be something or other to replace X or Y. This will get substituted into your primary equation, which will be in one variable. Once it's in one variable, you take the derivative. And then you're going to make the derivative equal to 0 or undefined. And those are critical numbers. Once you have critical numbers, you need to determine if it's a max or a min. And then once you determine this, which is kind of a given, it fits what you need. Once you determine this, then you have to answer the actual question. So this is going to be the layout of the question tomorrow. I don't know. Anything else about the test you might have a question on? I think we've gone through the 13 questions. I think we've talked about the setup of the test. Anything else you guys are concerned about or worried about? Min extrema chart. Do we just do F double prime? So Julia, you have your choice to determine if it's max or min. You can use F double prime, or you can use a F prime chart. Each one works. First derivative test. Khan Academy is technically due tomorrow, but I'm not going to check Khan Academy until Monday morning. Let's see, Nick, what did you mean by min extrema chart? Like, as in, do you want me to make one, or did you have a question about them? Yes. So let's say we are given the first derivative. Oh, okay, so Jackson, yes, I can't remember if that was you that asked that last unit or not. Natalie, you don't. So here's the easiest workaround. If you guys get to the score that you want in Khan Academy, but you want to keep practicing, log out of Khan Academy. If you log out of Khan Academy, you can still practice all the same problems, but it won't track it to your account. So then if you get something right or wrong, it won't change your score. That's kind of the easiest workaround. I was surprised that I had quite a few people tell me that when they kept practicing and they got things wrong, their score went down. Because that seems counterintuitive. So if you're worried about your score going down, log out, and then it won't track anything. Oh yeah, Kelly, you haven't done the unit test yet, have you? Oh, never mind. Yeah, the unit test is worth 20% of the grade because it brings everything up from the second level to the third level when you get them right. So yeah, if you're at 70% and you haven't done the unit test yet, you'd be able to get to 90% by just doing the test. Okay, so here let's do a first derivative one. So let's say we have f prime of x equals x squared minus 1 over x. So this is our derivative. If I need to make a first derivative chart, I have to find critical numbers first. A rational expression equal to 0 is when the top is equal to 0. A rational expression undefined is when the bottom is equal to 0. So our critical numbers would come from them separately. The top equal to 0 would give me plus or minus 1. The bottom equal to 0 would give me 0. So for this particular problem, my number line or chart, let's see. Nick, did you want me to make it a table or a number line? Because either one works. Okay, table. I can do it as a table. So I basically kind of arrange these numbers in order. My first section is negative infinity to negative 1. Second section goes to 0. Third section goes to positive 1. Fourth section goes to infinity. So that would be the table headers. It's a pretty horrible looking table, but we'll go with it. Oh, thanks for letting me know, Kelly. Mandy, do you mean the one that I've been writing on? Because I already have the... Oh, I feel like I should say no for that one, because the whole point was for you guys to write this down as we were doing it. Got you. How about I'll send it to you then? If you want, why don't you send me an email or a message, and then I can send it to you. But I didn't want to post it because then it discourages people from trying. So as a table, see, you would choose a test number from each section, and then test it in the derivative to see if the answer is positive or negative. So like this section, I would pick negative 10, which would give me 100 minus 1, 99, divided by a negative 10. So this section would be minuses. Then I'd have to choose, oh, that's a terrible one. I'd have to choose a number between negative 1 and 0. That'd give me positive 1/4 minus 1 would be negative, divided by negative 1/2, which would be a positive section. I'm being sloppy, but you generally only write the answer in this section. And then I would choose positive 1/2, which would give me negative on top divided by positive on bottom, which would be a negative section. And then positive divided by positive. If you have to do this on a question, this would be question probably, I think it was 4 or 5. It was the one on relative extrema. Whoa, Oh, I must be writing a lot. This thing's having trouble keeping up. I'm doing this question because somebody asked me to make a first derivative table. Is this kind of what you were looking for, Nick? Like how to create a table? Okay. Anybody else have anything they want me to talk about or cover? So then, as a reminder, tomorrow I need you guys to come for attendance. Preferably right at 12:10, so that it's not like, you know, I don't want people straggling in over like a half-hour period or something. Just come at 12:10 so I can put attendance in, and then I'll answer questions if anybody has them. Other than that, you guys feel free to leave whenever you want and to take the test before Monday. Yeah, go ahead, Michael. Oh, I didn't even think of that. I was thinking in my head. I was thinking tomorrow was the Flex Friday day. The short answer is no. They're not going to just let you leave unless you have a note. Let's see, how many people are in school tomorrow? Probably like 15-ish. I know. That's even worse. I get it. Um, that really messed up my plans. I, I mean, worst case scenario, you could use it as a study hall. If you're ready for the test, you could just take it during that 75 minutes. I mean, you have a 100-minute time limit, but you could be able to do it. You should be able to do it in 75 minutes as well. So, I mean, that's one option. Otherwise, I'm going to I'll be on Zoom, so I could just answer questions. God, that kind of stinks. It's a good thing you thought of that, Michael. I would not even have. Yeah, I know they're not going to just let you leave. I can guarantee that one. So, if you have to stay at school tomorrow, then I mean, just kind of treat that hour there as a work hour, where you can get Khan Academy work done. Um, you could get ready for the test. Getting ready for the test would kind of allow you to come up with questions you could ask me. This is definitely a complication that I hadn't thought of. I don't know. Do you guys want me to come up with like work to work on for you, or I didn't want to like give you extra work. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I mean, I wasn't gonna like force people to do extra work. I was just, if somebody wanted extra work, I could. I wasn't meaning I was assigning it. I should have said that better. I was saying I could try to find some extra work for you to do if you wanted some things, but I can't make the review extra credit. No. Yeah, I mean, I'll just put it this way: there's not many people that are done with Khan Academy. So the easiest thing for you to do would be to do the unit test in Khan Academy tomorrow during class if you're in the classroom. Because the unit test is like 25 questions or something and isn't that fast. So I wouldn't be shocked if the unit test in Khan Academy would take you about 75 minutes. And I'll be on the computer during that time. So if you guys run into a question on the Khan Academy test that you're stuck on, I could help you because it's easy to share your screen and things like that. I mean, I would just do that. If you guys are going to be in class tomorrow, like in school, just hold off on some of your work tonight and work on it tomorrow during class. I don't know what that means, Michael. I am not young enough to know what that means. Okay. Okay. Why would no cap mean that? Is that like no capital letters or what? That doesn't make sense. Lying? How do you guys universally know this? Like they're made up words. I look at memes and social media too, but I don't know. Some of the stuff just made up. All right. I know Pog. Pog is an old one. A lot of these terms are coming back. All right, we'll be done here. We only have like 10 minutes left. All right, so I'll stop the recording here.